Print on Pan-African Media TV. I am Frida EGBESON, your host. In a world where headlines influence opinion and public conversations, Well in Print brings you to the front row a seat of stories that are making waves across the continent, from Africa to Europe, the Americas to Asia. We scan through our leading newspapers to bring you the most catchy and thought-provoking news headlines of the day. On today's edition of the program, I'll be joined on set by a respectful human rights activist who will help us analyze the most catchy global news headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned with us as we turn through the pages of the paper, for we shall be right back just after the transition.
Panafrican Media pour une Afrique souveraine et unie.
Just joining us, you haven't missed out on anything. We are just getting started. I was saying that on today's edition of the program, I'll be joined on set by a respectful human rights activist. But before we go introducing our guest for today, up next is our weekly press review, with our first flight taking us to neighboring Nigeria with the Vanguard newspaper carrying as major caption this morning. The Vanguard says recapitalization crunch, 12 insurers at risk. Regulator insists on deadlines. Some insurers consider scaling down. From that, The Guardian, still in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, captions this morning: cyber attacks, election data at risk as hackers have government, agencies and banks to ransom. Morning Star from the United Kingdom this morning carries: stands against all hate crimes. Jewish community targeted 3 times in a week with attack on synagogue. Financial Times comes up with: Iran war will squeeze US voters long after conflict ends, economics warns. From the United Kingdom, ladies and gentlemen, we move over to the United States of America with the Washington Post captioning: Trump, Iran vessel seized, claims ship tried to escape blockade. Talks set to resume amidst president threat. US Today headlines: Iran war, distance to deal remains. Trump issues threat but says talks go on. From the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, we take a next flight to the Republic of Cameroon with the Newswatch newspapers captioning this morning: Pope Leo ends successful 4-day visit, leaves message of peace and unity. The Sun reads: Pope Leo 14th visit to Cameroon, a success story. The Pope came, saw, listened and called for peace and justice to return to Cameroon now. While the Post newspaper's Monday's edition says what happens next is more important than the Pope's visit. That's a saying by Archbishop Nkea. He urges the creation of an implementation committee to ease dialogue between government and separatists. If not, he warns that if not, Cameroon must act now or risk wasting Pope's message. While the Median on its part is still talking on the visit of the Pope to Cameroon, the Median on its part headlines: Pope Leo's 14 in Cameroon, Vatican Lord's stunning turnout of political masses. The Guardian Post Monday's edition says at Mass in Yaoundé, Pope advocates solidarity, mutual aid and as panacea to social challenges. This is how we saw it on today's news headlines. Stay tuned, for up next is going to be our analytical parts of the program.
Panafrican Media pour une Afrique souveraine et unie.
Back, faithful viewers, we just had our newspaper headlines rounds with us, see newspapers taking us from the United States of America to Nigeria to the UK and to Cameroon. But like we are used to in the program, we usually have a guest with whom we analyze the most catchy news items of the day. And on today's edition of the program, I was saying from the beginning that we have a respectful human rights activist with us on set, Mr. AMADOU, who will help us today to put an eye and analyze the most catchy global news headlines. Mr. Tante, you're welcome.
Well, thank you for this invitation. Good morning to telespectators of Pan-African Media TV. I'm always delighted to be here so that we can share or discuss about issues affecting most especially our nation, Cameroon, and beyond, and discuss on the necessity for us to be living in peace, in unity, in harmony, and living with love, empathy, and develop that culture of dialogue in everything we continue to do in life. You know, the differences are bound to occur either between brothers, sisters, or different people of different religious groups, or between nations, and that is the beginning of democracy. Democracy begins with differences, so we must learn to live together whatsoever be the problem we might have in life.
You know, it's been a while I saw you. It's been a while we had you on set. So tell me what has been happening. How is Conscience African faring?
Actually, it's been a while that we have been together, and maybe because of one thing or other, at least let me say Conscience African is faring perfectly well, at least as we continue of working toward our vision, which is working to ensure that there is law, there is peace, there is respect of human rights, there is respect of democracy, most especially in our country, Cameroon, and particularly with regards to the ongoing armed conflict in the northwest and south region of Cameroon, which is our primary focus for now, because for the past almost 7 to 8 years now, our organization Conscience African has actually been active on the ground, carrying out monitoring, documentations, and reporting on the cases of human rights violations and abuses being perpetrated by the warring parties, be the separatists or the members of the armed separatist group. So I will continue to work with regard to that, and let me use the opportunity to say that just last month, on the 10th day of March 2026.
Yes, I was asking about that.
Yes, in Yaoundé, we presented our 2025 report on the human rights situation in the northwest and south region of Cameroon, just to continue to tell the world that everything is not the way people assume it to be, because there are so many people who are still very shocked to realize that a lot of violence or a lot of human rights violations and abuses were still going on in the northwest and south region of Cameroon. So that's where we keep on doing the same thing, because ever since after doing that, presenting this report, we continue to look into other way out, because the report ends with recommendation and so many other things. So we continue to push the recommendation to see that at least something positive can come out of it. And after that, you know, since the beginning of this year, there have still been a lot of serious human rights violations that is still going on in the northwest and south region of Cameroon. It's still continuing, because within the beginning of this year up to now, we have recorded again so many cases of serious human rights violations. Let me cite a very good example that I keep talking about recently, about the case of Ati Akumbo Joseph, a young bike rider of 23 years old, who disappeared. Disappeared about. He was allegedly arrested on the 3rd day of March 2026 in Bamenda, around the entrance to Bashi, according to a very reliable information we have on the ground. And since then, up to date, his whereabouts has remained unknown. But we have talked with a lot of close relatives and other family members, and made us to understand that this young gentleman, who was a bike rider, was carrying some vegetables from Babankitungo to Bamenda, and he was intercepted in the 6th checkpoint. And the previous people were allegedly asking him for settlement, and it seemed as if the guy unfortunately was not able to provide the amount that they were asking, and the guy was whistled off by members of the defense and security forces, and all attempts by other bike riders who were around to rescue him was in vain. And up to date, the whereabouts of this young man has remained unknown. And we have made to understand that family members have filed complaints all over the place at different detention centers, be it a Legion, be it the judicial police, and so on and so forth. But his whereabouts have remained unknown up to date. So you know, these are very normal things that has been going on that part of the country since the beginning of ongoing time. So we know the case of Samuel Wazizi. We know the case of a driver of Vatican who was equally arrested in Yaoundé and was tortured to death earlier this year, and so on and so forth. So we don't know the word of this about this guy. We know that this is a very serious case of human rights violation. I'll keep calling on authority to do everything possible to ensure that the whereabouts of this man is shown to the family members, and he should be treated humanely, because that is not, as far as it's in gross violation of international human rights principles or international humanitarian law. So we are living in a state of law, and we should respect the law. Even within the separatists, I see the same thing. You know about the recent kidnapping all on the right and the left, and some of the serious things have been going on. You know, within last week, you saw what happened in Muyuka, where some unarmed civilians were burned alive, some other killed, and about 2 to 3 weeks before then, another similar scenario happened there, when military allegedly burned even one guy at home. The guy was a sick patient, because it's alleged that the separatists killed 2 members of the defense and security forces in the area.
And they went on rampage.
The military came and went on rampage. At the end, they burned houses and killed 2 unarmed civilians. So they are doing virtually the same thing, acting without taking precautionary measures, no respect of international principle of international humanitarian laws while carrying out the activities. They are supposed to respect the principle of proportionality and so on and so to ensure that whatever you are doing, the civilian casualties are limited. So these people, parties, they don't, to the best of my knowledge, they are not respecting it. That's the reason why we have more casualties on the ground. And just within these 3 days, see that we have already seen cases of military that have been killed. So one or in Menchum division, 1 or 2 in Dop, another one in Bamboo, and so on and so forth. So these things, I keep saying, they are all unreasonable, and there's need for us to look into the eyes of each other, the stakeholders, and talk for us to have a lasting end to this conflict.
Yes, before we dive into the papers, I want to say that I was fortunate to be when we were presenting the 2025 Human Rights Report in Yaoundé, and I had this case that kept pricking my mind. Women detained with their babies. So how far have you guys gone with that? What has been the response of public authorities or other organizations after this presentation of report?
Well, let me say that since the 24th day of June 2025, our organization Concerns Africane has been working actually with regard to the case of these newborn babies and their parents, their mothers and their uncles, as well as their aunts who were arrested in Bamising, Dop, a village in Ngoktunja division of the Northwest region, on instruction of the senior divisional officer of the Ngoktunja, Mr. Konge Henderson Kwetong, and detained at Gender Merit Brigade in Dop, where 2 of them, one of the elderly woman who was alleged to be the mother of the separatists, was severely underwent the act of torture, as well as Mr. Weyang Julius, who is accompanying her, one of the brothers of the alleged separatists, and from then they were transferred to the Bamenda Central Prison, where they have been on detention for since that time up to date. So they were still undergoing preliminary inquiry from the examining magistrate, and it stands as a result of the pressure we have been putting on. I think they were actually sent to court. So within any of these days, we are just waiting for the court to give us the date in which they are going to court. But they still remain. They have been doing a lot of things. We equally created a consortium of other national and international human rights organizations where we are advocating for the rights of these children, and equally advocating for the government to look for better ways of addressing issues, especially when in situation, because there are some loopholes in the criminal procedure in Cameroon or penal law, where you have problem whenever a woman, for example, alleged to have committed a woman who is maybe a letting woman or a woman who is pregnant is alleged to have committed a crime. What should be done exactly with this pregnant woman, or what should be done with a woman who is having babies on the hand? So because we have actually verified, and even within this prison in Bamenda, and we are verified and we have been reliably informed that there are other young children who are still being detained today with their parents, even though we have not yet succeeded to get in touch with them, because some of them have insisted that they want to discuss with their lawyer first, maybe before they can give us any reliable information. As we speak now, these newborn babies are still detained at the Bamenda Central Prison, together with their grandmother, their mothers, and their uncle. And nothing concrete has been done up to date. So we just pray that once the case go to court, the judge will do the needful and ensure that these children and their parents regain back their liberty. Because as I keep saying, that criminal responsibility is personal. If the government decide now that they want to arrest all the family members of those who are of the separatist leaders, they should go ahead and arrest all of them. We all know them. It's not if we go ahead and arrest the mother or the parents or the brothers and siblings of a particular separatist. Meanwhile, the other ones are still there. So it will not make any sense. The government has actually decided now that maybe they want to change the new principle of criminal law, where criminal responsibility is personal, and ensure that if even though your relative commit a crime, you will be held liable or accountable. Then they should go ahead and do so. Tell us that Cameroon is no longer a state of law. Maybe it's just a jungle where the senior divisional officer or any administrator can go ahead and do anything the person like and go away with it. Because there is a scenario a situation in Cameroon here where most of these local administrators, whom we always think to that they are always too overzealous when it comes to power. They keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, because this thing is happening, it has happened before, and they keep on doing the same thing and repeating the same thing again with no concrete result coming out of it.
Yes, thank you, Concerns Africane. Want to commend your efforts. I was so moved by the results, and we'll pray that the days ahead, since the case is in Bamenda already in court, judgment should be merited, and those people, maybe those kids go back home. So we are going straight to the newspapers. We are going to see the Guardian newspaper from the Republic of Nigeria. Can we please have the Guardian newspaper from Nigeria, our first newspaper that talks about cyber attacks, election data at risk. You see, they say as hackers hold government agencies and banks in ransom. Can you imagine? Elections are coming in 2027 in Nigeria, I guess, and now they say elections data is at risk. Cyber attacks, you see, hackers are at work. You know, this issue of, because when you talk of hackers, is a high rate of criminality, cyber criminality, and not just Nigeria is into this. Facing a situation like this, what do you think can be done in such a situation to be able to salvage?
You know, with the coming of the internet, this issue of cyber criminality has been a serious call for concern everywhere in the world today. You know what is going on. Even recently, with this, what is going on in Iraq and USA, we saw what happened last time when the email of the FBI, the leader or the head of the FBI was hacked by these people in Iraq and so on. So this thing is very common and a serious call for concern. So a lot of crime are being committed using the internet or online and so on and so forth. That's the reason why we have so many laws. Many countries have come out with laws to put in place to ensure that they always use them to ensure that these people are targeted. But I think that we still have specialists who are working, who are expert on that field, and that the government of Nigeria to use them in order to make sure that they track down all these people, all these hackers, all those who attempting in one way or another to disrupt the election through the hacking of their data and all these things, because it's a very serious crime. These are serious crimes that need to be looked upon, which are both crimes or crimes of human rights violations. We say crimes are committed maybe at the local level or crimes committed at these things, and crimes at the international scene. So Nigerian government need to be very careful. I look for experts, because we have so many experts even within some of these countries. Sometimes you hear that there are community elections in this country. Sometimes you hear that some expert in another country that try to hack the data of the other country to compromise the election, which is a very serious thing. At least that's a disadvantage of the internet, because everything has its own disadvantage.
Everything has its own disadvantage.
So they need to Nigerian government need to be very careful and keep an eye open to that.
Yeah. So we are moving to Morning Star. We'll leave Nigeria apart. We'll go to Morning Star in the United Kingdom. Morning Star this morning had as their first, the story on the headline of Morning Star says United Kingdom stands against all hate crimes. Jewish community targeted 3 times in a week with attack on synagogue. You see, we're talking about hate crimes. It's like we'll talk about hate speech, we'll talk about, so it is not just with us here, apparently. Something that people face on day to day. Now I want to, on the basis of the fact that we are humans, and we are all humans created by the same God. Be you a Muslim, be you a Christian, God remains God, Allah is God. Do we have reasons for these what they say, yes, they say crime against hate crimes, like you Jewish, you Christian, you Muslims? Do we really have to be doing such to each other? How can we, what can be done for the world to be as one person, to see each other like I see you as my brother and you see me as your sister? How should people go about?
Well, let me say this crime, the crime I said, let me say it's something that is universal. It's all over the place. Here in Cameroon, we are facing the same story, and especially with the coming of the internet, as really say, most of this crime has become so common, and that's the reason why we, in our part, we keep advocating or trying to educate citizens to understand that even if you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, you are a traditionalist, or whatsoever you believe on, you have the right to your own belief, and nobody has the right to temper with you on your own belief. And that is the reason why we keep on talking on every citizen to understand that we are all created from the same, from the image of the same person, from the same image, from the same God. What be it, but no matter whatsoever the appellation we may give that God, but we are going to rely only on the same thing. So there is no need for us to be hurting the other person or be creating or panic or attacking another person, maybe because of the person's own ideology or what the person believes on. Because everybody has a right to believe on your own whatsoever you are worshiping, and I keep saying that we all need to understand that we are all human beings with the same blood and everything. Develop love each other as our love our brothers and sisters ourselves, no matter their denomination of worship, no matter their background or their color or their sex or whatsoever it might be. Yes, and for us to live together, we all need to continue cultivating that, having empathy for each other, having love at that piece, or continue to develop that culture of living together with our own people. Once it's a human being, we got to live. We are bound to live together. So we should keep aside all this type of thing called either discrimination in one or the discrimination because of, as we said, because of religion, because of this worship, because of a background, because of social background, because of whatsoever it might be. So we are supposed to live together, because this case is only coming to divide us, and when it divides us, we can only live stronger if we live together. If we live in disunity, then we are living to bound to fall together.
All right, so leave the UK, will go to the United States of America with the Washington Post. The Washington Post this morning says Iran vessel seized, claims ship tried to escape blockade. talks set to resume amidst President's threat. You see, I want us to come about this U.S., Israeli, and Iran battle. This is something that normally, if people should come on a dialogue table to talk, we should be reasonable to talk like people. Trump continues with threats. The dialogue is not pushing forward, though he says the talks will continue, yet he keeps threatening. Many people have tagged Donald Trump as an overzealous president, a president that reacts. He acts without thinking. He is somebody who is impulsive. He feels like he's the Lord, the Lord himself. So at a certain point, I said maybe age is affecting Donald Trump. What's your viewpoint? What can make Donald Trump this, as I say, nuisible, as a Frenchman would put it, because he is really getting to something else?
This issue of Donald Trump and Iran and all the recent cases of Donald Trump kidnapping a sitting president and so on and so forth, to the best of my knowledge, I think President Donald Trump has really dragged the international law to the mud. That's the reality, because of what he is doing. Because normally, as per the international law concept, you don't have the right, a country does not have the right to directly attack another sister country, maybe without being a decision from the United Nations Security Council and so on. So a settlement was a serious security threat, maybe, and how would I even put it? Anyway, this issue of maybe, like I said, conflict is something that is bound to occur. There are reasons, maybe because Donald Trump is always trying to defend himself. Yeah. His own reason why he's trying to attack these people, maybe because of his country is at risk or being threatened by maybe the production or whatsoever weapon that is being produced by the other Iran and so on and so forth. So, but I think the most important thing that caught my attention is the dialogue that have initiated, because it is a very important thing, as I was saying here right at the beginning, that we might. The difference is bound to occur, be it as we brothers and sisters, or as human beings, we are bound to have differences. As a states, we are bound to have differences. But the most important thing is that we must always need to develop that culture of a dialogue to ensure that at every aspect we keep to understand each other and try to dialogue for us to have a lasting solution to whatever problem we might be going through. Because this issue of claiming or trying to show that we are the powerful nation, or we are this one is not the powerful nation, we are stronger than this one, that will not take us anywhere. Especially when it comes to human lives or the destruction of property that's being recorded virtually on a daily basis, maybe because of this war, as we have seen what has been going on in Iran and the other neighboring country where it has been attacked by Iran, and the damage USA has been causing there too. We have a lot of human damages. We have direct attack on civilians, which are prohibited in terms of war as per international human rights and international humanitarian laws. All these things are not being respected by these powerful nations, because normally state like the United States of America, they are supposed to pay status, because they are one of the leading nations. They are supposed to always show us the good example. So if today we can see the sitting President Donald Trump will go jump into another country and go and kidnap. I keep calling it kidnapping because normally that's not against the international principles, international human rights law. Because if you go and take another president like that, it means that it's showing that he has taken as I already said, the international law into the mud. At least let them look for better ways of addressing this issue. I know that dialogue might always fail, but the most important thing is that dialogue is a process. It's not something that can just happen one day. Whenever there's something assault, we have so many cases of issues that are happening in some other countries, like in Colombia, where we have a war there, where according to my final, I realized that they had more than 50 dialogue before they come to a final compromise to decide now on how to resolve the problem. So as long as there's dialogue going on, means that there is hope for the people that one day the war will obviously come to an end.
All right, so we have seen that we move to Cameroon. Like we all know, Cameroon was privileged to receive a papal visit here. He spent 4 days. Pope Leo XIV was in Cameroon, where he visited Bamenda, came to Douala, went to Yaoundé, and you could see the turnout. The people were happy, the population, people were mobilized, it was just mind-blowing. But before we go talking Cameroonian newspapers, I want us to go out to our machines and have an excerpt of Pope Leo's visit to Bamenda during his mass at the Bafoot airport. We'll go to our machines and have that excerpt, then we'll come back to talk Cameroonian newspapers.
And riches of the country and the continent. In this way, it will be possible to create a society in which peace and reconciliation reign. It is true that when a situation remains the same for some time, there is a risk of giving in to resignation and helplessness because we expect nothing new. If the word of the Lord opens up new possibilities and brings about transformation and healing, it is capable of stirring our hearts, of challenging the normal course of events to which we so easily risk becoming accustomed, and of making us active agents of change. Let us remember this. God is newness. God creates new things. God makes us courageous people who, by confronting evil, build up the good. We see this in the witness of the apostles, as we heard in the first reading. While the authorities of the Sanhedrin interrogate the apostles, rebuking and threatening them because they are publicly proclaiming Christ, they reply, "We must obey God rather than any human authority. The God of our ancestors raised up Jesus, whom you had killed by hanging him on a tree." The courage of the apostles becomes a voice of conscience, a prophecy, a denunciation of evil, and this is the first step toward changing things. In fact, obeying God is not an act of submission that oppresses us or nullifies our freedom. On the contrary, obedience to God sets us free because it means entrusting our lives to Him and allowing His word to inspire our way of thinking and acting. Thus, as we heard in the Gospel, which recounts the final part of the dialogue between Jesus and Nicodemus, the one who is of the earth belongs to the earth and speaks about earthly things. The one who comes from heaven is above all. Those who obey God rather than human beings and earthly ways of thinking rediscover their inner freedom, succeed in discovering the value of goodness, and do not resign themselves to evil. They find anew their way in life and become builders of peace and fraternity. Brothers and sisters, consolation for broken hearts and hope for change in society are possible if we entrust ourselves to God and God's Word. We must, however, always keep the Apostle Peter's exhortation in our hearts and bring it to mind. Obey God, not human beings. To obey Him because He alone is God. This calls us to foster inculturation of the gospel. It also calls us to be vigilant, even regarding...
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was an excerpt of Pope Leo the 14th visit to the Northwest region, where he had a mass at the Bafford Airport, where he was meeting with people from the Northwest and Southwest region to get to listen to them. So Newswatch newspaper this morning is the first newspaper we are going to look at. Newswatch is captioning this morning: Pope Leo ends successful 4-day visit, leaves message of peace and unity. Now, TARNTE, you are here with me. We all witness the effervescence that came along the Pope's visit to Cameroon. And now Newswatch is telling us about how successful the visit was, the 4-day visit and message of peace. I want to ask you, does it just suffice to bring a message of peace and unity? Does this coming and saying all these things. For instance, when he was talking, he talked of, because we saw hundreds of thousands of people gather to listen to the Pope's message, he said forgiveness, he talked about forgiveness, he talked about peace, he talked about the possibility of reconciliation and hope for a changing society is also possible, change in the society. The visit here is successful, nothing bad happened, because he did. It's like he went to the lion's den, nothing happened, he came back. But can we really term it this message of peace and unity? Do we see it just by the bare fact of saying it being possible in Cameroon?
Well, let me start first of all by applauding the Holy Father and the Vatican as well as the Catholic Church for coming for this visit to Cameroon. I think this visit was very timely, given the numerous challenges we are facing Cameroon as a country, and in the northwest and south region of Cameroon, as well as the far north region, before the general political crisis that we are still feeling or going through up to now since the October 2025 presidential election. So the visit was welcome. You know, because of the numerous challenges or the agony, the pains, and the difficulties all the Cameroonian citizens have been going through, many people has actually lost hope in either in the government or in their own personal life, because of what maybe whatever they hope for or they dreams for has been shattered because of the difficulties, either unemployment or so many other social and the political or economic and so whatever challenges that are happening in Cameroon. And I said this visit was timely. You know, the message of the Pope, he preached the message of love, is the message of peace, the message of unity, the message of forgiveness, the message of empathy, and so on and so. I think these things are actually very, very important. The meta aspect of it to reboost the morale and give confidence to Cameroonians. Most Cameroonians who have lost hope, maybe for example in the northwest and south region of Cameroon, many people have been having trauma, going through a lot of pains, going through a lot of difficulties. Their loved ones have been killed, they are homeless, they have been displaced, either they have become refugee or they have become internally displaced person in their own love country. So many of them have lost hope and thinking that there will be no hope, there is nothing to hope again. And because of the worst thing you can have in this life is to lose hope. Once you lose hope, it means that you are finished. You can do every other thing, but never lose hope. You need to believe, trust in God, and believe in yourself. That's the reason why I think that the visit of the Pope is very welcome, and it's coming at the right time. It's coming at least to boost the morale of these citizens, to continue to tell them that whatsoever be the challenges we are going through, we need to keep working, we need to keep focusing, we need to keep hoping and doing gradually, and it will come. So I think the visit, to me, I think the visit was successful in the sense that the Pope has a role to play. That's because of these challenges I quoted here, like the conflict in the far north region, the Boko Haram issue, and the conflict in northwest and south region of Cameroon, as well as the other political challenges in Cameroon, social and economic problem that we are going through. The Pope has played his own part, and whenever there's a problem as such, every citizen or every government or every other partner to the government of that country or its diplomatic partner or whatsoever always has a role to play. And I think the role of the Pope in this sense here is to preach the peace, and equally sometimes it's possible engage in possible dialogue with the stakeholders to see that, because it should not only end with a speech here. There's necessity for us to continue with the preaching through the actual engagement of the real stakeholders to touch their mind, maybe through the prayer that he have prayed here in Cameroon, met the President of the Republic, met high-ranking official, and they discuss. I think they were still discussing this same message of peace, unity, love, and empathy, and so on, and the necessity to live together to ensure that there's peace, there's unity, and any other thing and so on. And I think that the message must have touched their hearts, and after that the people can then engage engage this party so that they can look for ways of addressing this problem. Because it's after giving, first of all, boosting the morale of the people, after making the people not to lose hope, they are now engaged with the leaders, so the leaders now will possibly engage in a dialogue to ensure that we have an end to the numerous crisis or problems that is going on in Cameroon. Because the visit of the Pope has always played its own part, same as you as a citizen, you are playing your part on your program here, where you always starting on talking about the importance of respecting human rights, the importance of people living in unity, the importance of love and peace, and so on and so forth. So same as us and in our own role as a civil society actor, so everybody have a role to play. So the place now, the ball now is called of the government of Cameroon and the separatists or the other different stakeholders, so that they can see what can be done rightly to put things on the right place.
Yes, so we'll look at the post. The post says what happens next, like you just said, is more important than Pope's visit. Archbishop Nkea says, urges creation of implementation committee to ease dialogue between government and separatists. He says Cameroon must act now or risk wasting Pope's message. Cameroon must act now, or that's the Bishop, the Catholic Church Bishop. He says, what next? Because the Pope has given us all the itineraries.
Yeah.
Yes, all the itineraries on how to come back and ensure that peace is restored in the restive regions. So now the Bishop is saying that the government should create an implementation committee. You know, we have expected a lot from the government, from cabinet reshufflement, which has not been done. Yeah. People expect cabinet to be reshuffled. They bring the idea of the post of vice president. That one has been shifted to the mandate of municipal or councils who have been extended. So, you know, the government is a government that we cannot really predict. So when he talks of the creation of the committee, urges creation of implementation committee to ease dialogue. Yeah. So do you see this advice being taken into consideration and being done in the nearest future?
Well, let me start first of all here by applauding His Lordship Andrew Keya because of the role he has played, as particularly with regards to the ongoing armed conflict in northwest and southern of Cameroon. This bishop has been very vocal on his word. He has advocated on so many grounds, be it in terms of encouraging children to go to school, encouraging the conflicting parties to engage in dialogue, and he and some of his collaborators have been victims of the ongoing armed conflict, kidnapping, and so on and so forth. So I use this opportunity to thank His Excellency, well, they call it His Excellency or His Lordship, you see the same thing, Andrew Keya, for the marvelous job he has been doing. He just asked some pertinent questions, because as somebody who has been on the field for quite a long time now, somebody like him, he understands where the problem really lies. So if he's saying something as well, I mean that he's talking out of experience, and he think that if something as such is implemented, there is possibility that we may have a lasting solution to the problem we are going through, even though he did not specify, because you know the Pope did not only come for the problem in the northwest and southern Cameroon, he came from the other problems that we have in Cameroon in general,
and for the church.
Yeah, and for the church.
He was just appointed, he was installed, so it's I mean the people saw he has people he's working with, they are Catholics. Yes, I'm working with the Catholic, because you know, as Israeli said, the Catholic has been suffering a lot of things, or a lot of problems, or a lot of violations and abuses from the conflicting parties on in particular in the northwest and southern of Cameroon. And generally, we are talking about this issue, we are thinking about so many hundreds of citizens who are detained, who are arrested and detained as a result of the post-electoral conflict. When we think that it's necessary for the government to do everything possible to ensure that these people are released, because they were simply exercising their rights. It's true that they are always on bad egg, who always ensure that they infiltrate to cause some extra mile to work for their own personal interests. There are some people who were arrested they were not even when the way there was violence was taking place. They were taken at their homes and so on and so forth. So we're going to keep saying that the government need to equally release them, because that's part of the dialogue. So those can be part of even the beginning of that dialogue, because apart from having dialogue for the north and southern region of Cameroon, there is a serious problem in Cameroon because of the post-electoral conflict, where we have the issue of President Issa Shurma Bakare, who claimed to have been the victorious person, although at the end he said he was never going to leave Cameroon. Unfortunately, there was no other choice. He had no other choice than to escape for his dear life. So that notwithstanding, when you are a father for all the citizens, whether the citizen voted for you or not. Once you have been voted, just assume that you were voted by all the citizens, and they need to embrace you. If at least the President of the Republic is saying that he was actually elected as it's supposed to be, then he should do the rightful thing. All those who are disgruntled, or those who are not happy with him, whether the other political parties who are having problems, they need to do everything possible to bring them together so they can work in unity. Because the issue there is that whatsoever we are fighting, even as individual organizations or individual political parties, we are all fighting for the interest of a single country, which is Cameroon. So it's true that the only problem now is that we're having different modus operandi. Every other person having his own way that he wants to achieve it. Everyone has his own way that they want to achieve it. So I think that if they can work in collaboration with some of these key stakeholders or key political actors, I think there will be we'll have a better Cameroon, because the best thing to be done is to work in collaboration. Don't try to sideline other political parties because you think that you are too strong or you are too whatsoever. No. It will not always be like that. At least the working in collaboration is always a necessity to make our country to be a greater country than it was before. Yes, the median newspaper on its part is talking about the Vatican's respondents. Vatican say Pope Leo's 14 in Cameroon. Vatican lots turnout of political masses. Political masses, they go to church every day. Does their turnout in what happened really matters? If they go there, they don't go there. If they decide, even without going there, is their turnout, does it really matter in this? is there somebody who can hear that the Pope is coming and coming to visit? They are going like the meeting that was supposed to take place in Palais de Congrès was taken to the Unity Palace. Yeah. Could somebody who is a politician refuse to attend such?
Well, it depends
on does attending means that they are going to adhere to the advice that the Pope is giving.
Well, another issue is that apart from having your own political ideology, which is political ideology, what you believe on, most of us or most of these politicians they are citizens and they have their other beliefs, either their religious background, and that is the reason why we keep saying I keep saying here that we said here before that all this background, whether it's you are a Muslim, you are a Christian, or whatsoever, you are a Catholic or you are a Pentecostal, we are one people and the same people. So this religion should not in any way separate us. And if you are going to be to the Unity Palace or wherever to meet the president or the Pope, it's important. When some of these people meet with the Pope, they have to tell, because there are some certain situations where I realize that most of the things that is happening here in Cameroon, most of these leaders of the government of Cameroon, they are always the one at the forefront. They always tell, maybe it should be diplomatic partners, this diplomatic partners, or the Pope in particular, they will be the one that are already giving the Pope the situation, their story on the situation of Cameroon. And even though we realize that most of this information are always given, especially on the diplomatic ground, they are always unfounded information. Some of them are give information, part of the information are always true, part of them are not true. But whenever they have the opportunity, such person have the opportunity to meet with the civil society, meet with the political actors, like the business. Yes,
he had a touch, he felt it. People gave their testimonies, people gave their stories, so he got it first hand.
He got it first hand, even though you know that before he coming to Cameroon, he already give information back from the government. So when he meet the people directly now and hear the outside of the story, now that's when you know the reality. You can be able now to know the balance, to know that who is what the people are really going to, because the government will always try to hide some certain things, especially when it comes to, because the government has already been given the impression that those who are causing violence in this part, in the north and south region of Cameroon, are always separatists. Those who are targeting civilians or targeting civilian dwellings are already separatists, which are completely not true. All the parties, be the separatists or the defense and security forces, they are committing serious and grievous crimes on the ground. So that's the reason why you need to have a balanced information for us, for you to be able to judge something, because we have met some of these domestic partners of Cameroon, and after discussing with them or telling them exactly what is happening on the ground, some of them are very confused because of the information that the government has given to them.
I was told this, yes. Now I'm having this.
So that's the reason why they need to collaborate with every citizens, be the political or the civil society and all the like, to know the real story of whatsoever is happening, so that they can be able, because it's very difficult to intervene on an issue. We don't have the first class information or the truth about what actually is happening or what actually has happened. So that's what I think.
The Guardian Post has come up this morning with, at Mass in Yaoundé, Pope advocates solidarity, mutual aid as panacea to social challenges. Popes advocate solidarity and mutual aid. Coming back to being together, like we standing by lifting others.
Of course.
You see, the Pope's message was just, it's a message that spread across countries.
Yes.
You know, the things we are facing, we have our particularities, things that are peculiar with us. But most of what the Pope was saying can be applied to another country.
Yes.
Yes. So the Pope has said his own. Don't you think, and now the ball is left in the court of the politician? There is a political will that will matter.
Yeah, exactly. No, you know, the one we keep saying that, especially with the conflict in Northwest and South of Cameroon, we keep saying that the major problem why we have not yet had a solution to this problem is political. You know, the political right is the most important right among all the other human rights we have, because it's the political will of a country that decides on anything. So once you have taken power, like you are the president of the republic, you are the one that decides. As you based on your political idea or whatever you think, you are the one that make the decision on how you think things can be done. So that one is very important. We keep saying that there has always been lack of political will by the government of Cameroon to ensure that they resolve the conflict in the northwest and south of Cameroon. Even though at times government keep claiming that these separatist fighters or leaders are not able to come together, knowing very well that sometimes they'll obviously come together. I think if they think that the government is coming in a genuine way, because you cannot resolve, I keep saying, problem without coming showing proof or showing sign that you are very serious. Sometimes you come to say that you want to look for solution to a problem when you are not coming on the right way. There are always tracks or there are always steps to be taken in order to address an issue. So the political will now lie mostly on the hand, on more than 90% is the hand of the government of Cameroon to decide on everything, because
they have the knife and the yam.
They have the knife and the yam, so they should stop blaming the other parties and so on. Because if we are look critically, you realize that even within the government of Cameroon, you know the kind of division as within the ministerial level. So in terms of ministers who go on air, say of some different thing, or who write to talk about different thing, and another ministers come out with a contradictory story and so on and so forth. So this problem is a problem of the government of Cameroon, and they are the one who have the knife and the yam and the leader. Because in your home, when you have a problem, the head of that home, be the man or the one or wherever the parents are the ones that have the final say on everything. They are the one that if the home is failing today, or if there's a problem at home today, it means that it's them who have made it to be that way. So you cannot go. Sometimes the child will have a own responsibility or the rule to play, but that rule must always be influenced by the decision of the parents. So everything is on the hand of government now for us to see if the government now has a genuine intention, or maybe now the poop coming has actually delivered most of this some of these our leaders in this country whom we thought that were I don't know how tell me, but they already know what it comes to. This was equally a deliverance time for these people in Cameroon.
Yes, somebody was telling me that he thinks that if the government takes the first step to liberate Ayok Tabe and co, or people detained because of the ongoing socio-political crisis in the 20th speaking region, it could be a step one, like first step towards bringing these separatist leaders together on a dialogue table.
Yes, that's the opinion. That's what so many people have been saying. Many people have been of the opinion that if the government is actually genuine of the intention, and the government actually wish to resolve the problem in northwest and southern region of Cameroon, need to ensure that those who are being held captive, or those who are in detention or are sentenced in different prisons should be released by the government of Cameroon, to ensure that at least they are really serious to resolve the problem. Some of the people are instead of the opinion that they can start by releasing every other people apart from those of the Naira or the leader of the separatist group, that they should leave them first and release the other people now for them, for declare clemency and ensure that there is ceasefire, for them to be so sure that the government is genuine, because some of the initiative taken by the government and this other people to resolve the problem has always been on a failure, on a fiasco. Because why? Sometimes the government go, because normally we know that when you are going with dialogue, you go with your own proposal, you don't go with a decision. Sometimes the government come
you don't go to impose.
You don't go to impose. Sometimes the government is coming with pre-talks that they want to discuss with some of the separatist leaders, be it within Cameroon or abroad. The government go and start imposing on them, telling them what is prohibited, what will not be discussed, and so on and so on. So that's the reason why sometimes they have initiated some of these things at the end in failure.
Before it even starts.
That is it. Even you saw what happened. Even last time there was information that the government even went to Connect, tried to remove those people and tried to discuss with them. It only failed because the government was trying to infuse. There are some certain information that the government was trying to impose on them, and that is what they refused. And when they refused now, and people started saying that the government went to dialogue with them to see how they can make pre-talks with them to see how things can go forward. The government came out to refuse, which are credible. We have credible information with regard to that the government actually went there and talked with these people, attempted talking with these people, but some of the reasons, because of that, the government was trying to impose some certain things, like the fact that you people must accept that the decision that was taken at major national dialogue and so on and so forth. So these people said no, we need to do things in the way we have a say, and we need to do things the genuine way. And if you take it this way, it will never work. And the government said no. Since they are the final say, they will say refuse, as they always do. Since the same thing with the Canadian initiative, when the Canadian foreign minister came and said that they have discussed with the government and the other parties that want to look for where the Minister of Communication came out and said no, they were false, clearly unfounded allegations. So
it's really something. So now, given what has happened, what is still happening on the ground in the two English-speaking regions, but before the Pope's arrival, it's like I read somewhere that the separatist fighters have been ordered to respect themselves by their leaders. That the Holy Father was visiting the region and there was need for peace, and they obeyed, and the Pope came back victory, which means they are legends. These guys can still be brought to order, can still reason, can still listen. If they are, do you think when they say ceasefire, for instance, when they say ceasefire, drop your guns, at times somebody say you go to drop your gun and you are caught. That's the reason why some of them, even those who want to abandon, are scared.
And there is another serious issue about this issue of people who have abandoned. You know, there's a problem. This problem is coming from the fact that the government of Cameroon has not been serious. That's why when it comes to those who have deposited their arms, because I have a lot of complaints. Those are DDR centers. They have been coming eventually on daily basis to complain that they are not being taken care of by the government. Some of them have been there for so many years, and they have family to take care of them. They are not able to do. Government have not been able to reintegrate them as they promised them, and so on and so on. And these things are not as making others be scared now to levels there. Yes, they're only punishment. And because of this reason now, those of these separatists, some of these separatists were willing maybe to deposit their arms, have realized that the government is not doing the best or doing what it promised to these people, and some of them now are forced now to leave their weapons and go to different towns and different places and trying to hustle their life there. And at the end, whenever the government or these people arrest them, they go and execute them. That's where these are serious violation of international criminal law. Because normally somebody who is what is called au combat, you're no longer holding weapons, you're no longer armed, and you're no longer on the war. You are not supposed to be a target. So this is the same thing. This is what I'm telling you. So another one happened in just about 2 weeks ago, where a guy who alleged to have deposited his arms long ago and was just living his normal life was arrested and taken to
the society. And
yes, he was arrested by the defense forces and taken to Total petrol station in where they used to kill most of those people. Yeah. And because of the population that was there, it's as if they refused that they should not execute the guy. They went to with the guy somewhere around the back council in Doha when they executed the guy. And this thing has been repeated virtually on a daily basis. So these are some of the reasons why I keep making some of them to be affected with deposit fire.
Are aware of such happenings.
Most of these things are done in the watchful eyes of the SGO. Most of these administrators who are on the ground. So, but with regard to ceasefire, there must be serious, for there to be a real genuine ceasefire, there must be serious negotiation on the background, and there must be strict assurance that this ceasefire will go on without any problem. Because the government keeps saying that for there to be, it's only the separatists who are supposed to keep down their weapons so that they can see what can be done. What happens if, as we're rightly saying, if they keep down their weapon and they are still being targeted by the members of defense and security forces, it will be a serious call for concern. Because when they say they say fire because of the Pope, normally the problem in Northwest and Southern Cameroon is not an issue against the Catholic Church or the Pope or the Vatican. It has nothing to do with the Pope. We know that the Pope is just a religious authority. The Pope has his own role to play. So that's the reason why these people were saying that whatsoever be the case, nothing should happen to the Pope. Nobody should carry out any attack whatsoever. But even though within the days that the Pope was coming, we realized that there were almost different attacks, explosion of different things in Bamenda, including Queen Market and so on. So even just immediately after the Pope left, you see the number of gendarmes that have been killed, some other citizens and so on and so on. A lot of violations are still going on. So it's not been an easy thing, but we keep praying that at least the visit of the Pope should bring the dialogue we have been looking for. Because whatsoever be, we have been pushing for.
Give the power, the people in power, a change of mind. A
change of mind. You know, it's only the government of Cameroon that has the power now to initiate what they call dialogue. Because sometimes people are blaming the separatists. The separatist leaders, they don't have any power to initiate anything like dialogue. They are not a recognized state or something like that. Everything lies in the hands of the government of Cameroon. If the government of Cameroon says they want to dialogue with them, I think they will. If they take the right thing to be done, I know that they will always be down for that, and these people will always welcome dialogue, except that the government is coming on way maybe coming in a way that the separatists may foresee not to be genuine or not to take the right track according to them. So the separatists does not have any power to initiate anything like dialogue.
So there is something that keeps going to my mind. The United Nations. The United Nations seems to be mute to what is happening around the world, because we are members of the UN.
Yes.
CUS, Mr. Donald Trump and overzealousness, member of the UN. What is happening to the United Nations? In history, sometimes they call it a toothless bulldog. They say we should we should write against it. Is the United Nations really folding its arms and see things degrade the way they have been degraded?
You know, there's a serious problem with regard to this United Nations, especially with the agency, United Nations Security Council, and so on and so on. Most of these things are being sponsored, first of all, by these powerful nations, and when they sponsor this, they have upper hand on deciding most of the things that are supposed to be taken there, because most of these things are more of political institutions. That's the reason why you see when they tell you that for the vote to be validated, maybe at the United Nations Security Council, this particular number of those who have veto power must do or accept or whatsoever. At the end, you see some of these things happening, like when US will go now and attack the other country. The other country might be supported, maybe supported, but individually. Yeah. So these things about the United Nations as making, as you slightly said, total bulldog, making us to believe that at least everybody should be fighting to protect his own sovereignty or his own country, instead of spending time trying to work with some of these things, even though you cannot work alone. But this thing is more of political institution, and they are doing everything, to the best of my knowledge, mostly based on their own interests. because things are not being done in a genuine way. Because the proof now is just the war we are having virtually everywhere in the world today, having armed conflict or war going on in different places, and the United Nations has been unable since the president of the United States went and kidnapped a sitting president. The United Nations Security Council they have been sitting. The United Nations have gone, and but nothing concrete has been done up to now. Trump has said them, so it's very difficult for us to really know the person of the United Nations up to now. It means that all these things we have been talking or saying, they are giving us the impression that they don't have maybe that real power to impose also some certain things on some countries, or maybe because when you attempt, as is Muslim said, you attempt to do something, maybe somebody like the president of the United States, Donald Trump, will say that no, they will withdraw this aid that we're giving to this to you people, and this organ will definitely collapse. So it's really been a complicated situation. At least the United Nations need to be revamped. I think they need to be revamped to make things in such a way that at least there will be a level of power sharing between these people. They should not do things in such a way that will give that impression that some particular nation have the right to decide on everything in the war. So that's the main thing why they're making USA to think that they have they are the almighty and the more powerful, and they can do everything what they want to do to any country, and nobody will do anything about it.
All right, something caught my attention. Did you see how people were excited to greet Mr. Tanganji? One newspaper caption, the Guardian Post caption, Tanganji somewhere captured somewhere in the forum. There was even a query, why should we carry Tanganji? You said, like, what is his position? People are saying that if he goes to the Northwest, they will do this, and look at him, people are struggling to touch his hand. He has been quiet all this while. Do you think maybe the coming of the Pope will also humbled our almighty Tanganji for a while to be able to think straight? Because that's our own Donald Trump. Yeah, that's our own Donald Trump. What amused me about all of these things is that when you see the way His Excellency Minister Tanganji Paul was always sitting beside the Pope, you know that it seems as if he's now a born again. From every indication, just from the way he was sitting beside the Pope, it means that maybe the Pope, the coming of the Pope, or the message of the Pope has actually touched him, and the possibility that he too can do things in a democratic way, because the issue that is do it in a democratic way in the respect of the law and so on and so forth. But coming to what Minister Tanganji said last time, that people are saying that Cameroonians hate him, and he said that he's not a woman to be loved by citizens. He's actually just playing his role as a minister, and nothing to be done about it. Anyway, that notwithstanding, even if you are a devil, you must have your own people who are supporting you. There's no matter how bad or how good you are, you always have your own enemies. Those people are for you, and those who are against you. You heard some of these citizens saying that because of the guts you have. Exactly, you hear people saying that Grand Tango. So, and the minister was very happy to give them. Also, even though the appellation to me seems somehow like a mockery, but the minister turned it into such a way that it would be like they're welcoming a hero in the online. So that was something. The minister is not actually our enemy. I know that so many Cameroonians. It's like those of us who with regard to the way things are going here in Cameroon, it seems as if for us to have a leader who are better proper address things in Cameroon to go the right way, we need somebody even like the minister Tanganji. When they come up with this issue of vice president, to me, some of us we have the opinion that somebody like Minister Tanganji, somebody who have been very vocal, have been playing this normal role that is supposed to play, doing things maybe the way it's supposed to be done, and the kind of thing where we see Cameroon now, they need a minister or somebody like him who can better address things. That's the reason why there are so many people of the opinion that giving the post of the vice president somebody like Prime Minister Tanganji, he can better handle things the right way compared to other people. Even though some people think that we are joking and so on and so forth, but there are some people that they don't even have the power. Some people, normally when you are given a person, they define your function and tell you that this is what you are supposed to do. You will always have influence from other ministerial department coming to try to influence, but somebody who knows what he's doing, you always do everything possible to ensure that he do things the way it's supposed to be done. So some people like Minister Tanganji, you might see like a bad person, but I didn't realize that he's always the best. Remember the case of Minister Shomra Bakari was seen some years back as a very worst person, but within the 2025 presidential election, they said no, the ones who have given the case, let us embrace our devil first before we are seeing any other thing that will come after. You have a roadmap to follow. The Minister of Communication does not write his speech. It is written and given. It is censored. That is the issue. So most of this, the influence are this one. What you say is handed to you, and you just tell the people that this is it. It's not like it is coming from you. So now between you and me, you are saying some people are, you are not the only person. Opinions. Some people are of the opinion that Minister Tanganji could be a good portrait for the post of vice president. Between you and I, do you see that position coming to an English speaking, to an Anglophone from the Northwest as origin, not people who became Anglophones through education, Anglophones from history?
Well, to be honest with you, this issue of the post of vice president, we have always advocated right from the beginning. That was also, since the armed conflict in Norway and Southern States started, we are going to be advocating that there was a necessity for us to go back to the 1961 constitution, because that's the way we know that that's the genesis of this problem we are having today. So, and among the different laws on the constitution that were abolished, there was equally this issue of vice president, that whenever the president will be a francophone, the vice president will be anglophone, and so on and so forth. And we thought that if they bring back this some of this article, with this one in particular included, and respect it, and there will be possibility that there will be actually be a panacea, as the people were saying, but be a solution to the problem and the conflict in Norway and Southern of Cameroon. But when we learned that this issue of vice president was coming, we thought that maybe the government of Cameroon has finally yielded to our cry and was going to do it that way. But based on the definition, what they defined that post of vice president to be, I tried to lose hope that automatically Anglophone were already sidelined from this position of the vice president, because you see what normally wanted, they said that the vice president is coming. The mandating that is there is that he is coming to continue the mandate of the president in case of vacancy, and we already know that there's vacancy in Cameroon. So it's very clear that the president very obvious that he wants to have one hand over power for continuity to another person. So, but for those of us who have been following up the political landscape of Cameroon, knowing what is going on in the country, it's very obvious that the president will give this position to a very close ally, either his son or some other person who are closer to him. So, and to the best of my knowledge, I think Anglophones has already been sidelined out of it, because I'm not sure that it will come to us again, based on the definition of who that vice president the vice president to be.
I don't think we are in a monarchy anyway. For the president to give the post of vice president to his son, I know I shouldn't be taking sides, but we are not in a monarchy. We do not have a kingdom where after the king, a prince comes up.
No, we have characteristics of kingdom in Cameroon. Sometimes we may say that we have characteristics of the democratic state. At the same time, we have characteristics of a kingdom. But if you look at the way Cameroon is being managed, more of a in a tribalistic way, you know that the closest allies or collaborators of President of the Republic or President Paul Biya are actually those from the same region, or those who have a very close lineage or close link with President of the Republic. So we should not be very honest to say things the way it is. So there's serious possibility that this post of vice president will either go to a son of the President of the Republic or to another close allies, like some of these people that who have been giving this high instruction in the name of the President of the Republic.
So what I was thinking, that when the post of vice president comes, they might wipe off the post of the prime minister, then somebody from the northwest or southwest comes in. But since the post of the prime minister stays, it means
that ceremonial post.
We should not be crying about spilled milk. The milk has been spilled. Hoping at a certain point, all we are struggling for, all we are wishing for, change.
Of course,
monotony is at times monotony is such
boring.
The brain. Yeah, this change, but this change also should not come to be a change that will spark violence in Cameroonians.
That is it. No, we want a positive change, a change that will come to solve the numerous challenges our countries has been going through. Even if they change the president, whatever they are saying, and bring whatever they are bringing for the post of vice president, and the president comes and try to do things in a genuine way, try to address the numerous challenges we are having in this country. That's what we are yearning for, because one Cameroon to be people of Cameroon to live in unity, live in peace, and address by addressing the conflicts, the political conflict we have across the nation, or the problem in Northwest and Southern of Cameroon, addressing them properly for us to end the suffering of the population and have a lasting end or lasting solution to the conflict that our people have been going through for this number of years.
Somebody was telling me the other day that, Madam Journalist, you know, Anglophones, we are not united. If this post of vice president is not given to somebody from the English-speaking regions, or the Anglophone elite in power just need to boycott and say we give you the country. Do whatever pleases you with the power. Who can do that? No, nobody.
The government always try to give impression that people are not united. This goes with the same thing I was saying here about the separatist leaders. The government have always been given the impression that these people are not united. It's not they're not united, but that is the reason why I was saying that it's not because they're not united that the problem cannot be resolved. If you want them to unite them, they are for this serious possibility that they can be united. Because I quoted here the session of the government of Cameroon that even within the government cycle they are not united. So it's true that they may do some certain things together. Most of the things they do with a lot of differences. So we are human and we are bound to live that way. But when we want to do things, we do it in a genuine way. And if Cameroon government try to bring these people together in the right way, or maybe contract a mediator who will be able to facilitate some of these things, they will do it and pay the mediation principle or the terms of conflict resolution, and we will definitely have a solution, or bring these people together. We will have a solution to this problem we are going through.
Yeah, the implementation committee that Bishop Nkia suggested could be something good, but if this implementation committee sits only to be Cameroonians to be in that committee, the committee sessions will develop KLEX. Everything that happens where you have just Cameroonians is always going a way that the end is usually not good. All right, we have come to the end of our deliberations for today. You look straight into your camera and give Cameroonian your last word in relation to what we've seen from the Pope, what you are expecting to see in the days ahead, and how you think our government can achieve or will not be able to risk waiting the Pope's message.
Well, my first message, first of all, here is to clearly to talk about this issue of case of the enforced disappearance I quoted here at the beginning of T. Akumbo Joseph. This gentleman in Bamenda who had disappeared, allegedly that was arrested by defense and security forces, that the government should ensure that the family knows the whereabouts and ensure that this young man is released. He should not be tortured as others in previous cases. Secondly, the government of Cameroon should at least should embrace the message of the Pope and ensure that they work toward together with the Pope or the Catholic Church or the Vatican toward the resolution of the ongoing conflict in the northwest and southern region of Cameroon, and know that if they are working with the Pope is a Holy Father who knows the importance of every citizen, that for us to have a good solution to a problem, you must bring together all the citizens. You know, it's always said that for a country or for a nation or for a family to be complete, that family must have all kind of people. There are always every kind of people. So be the drug addict, the drunkard, the good ones, the bad ones, and so on and so forth. So they need to bring them all together before they can make a nation. And when we make this nation together with them, I believe that the solution to the problem we are going to obviously come. And it's things I keep insisting that it should be in a genuine way. But that notwithstanding, I believe that if it's done with the Catholic Church, there will be a right. They will go to the right angle, and the right solution will be gotten at the end.
All right. Thank you, TARNTE, for being with us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, want to say thank you for your faithfulness, for always standing with us and by us. We say that alone you can work faster, but together we can cover a longer distance. We've heard, we've cruised papers from the United States of America, Nigeria, UK, and Cameroon. We've seen what the headlines of today carried, and we've gone to analyze the most catchy. And for Cameroon, which is our own country, the land of hospitality, the Africane in nature, we've had the visit of the Pope that just ended, and had newspaper headlines carry the story from left, right, center, with diverse headlines, diverse suggestions. But there is one suggestion that keeps coming back to my mind, that is the headline of today, Monday's The Post newspaper, that talks up the advice of Archbishop Nkea, who says that what happens next is more important than the Pope's visit. Archbishop Nkea says urgent creation of implementation committee to ease dialogue between government and separatists. Says Cameroon must act now or risk wasting the Pope's message. With due respect, we are hoping that the powers that be, because we know that it is the political power that is needed in all of this. The Pope has given his message. He has had his first-hand information. He has met with the people one-on-one. He has gotten both versions from government and from the people on the ground. What now is left is a political will to see that the Pope's instructions, his advice, comes to play to ensure that peace, unity, harmony is restored to Cameroon. We are Cameroonians. We didn't choose to be born in Cameroon. We did not decide to be Cameroonians. God decided to make us all Cameroonians. And please let us heed to the advice, because I go with that advice of Archbishop Nkea, to ensure that we do not risk wasting the Pope's message. We should not make him feel his coming to Cameroon was a waste. It is on this note that we call it quit on today's edition of the program. Ladies and gentlemen, you are stay tuned to programs on Pan-African Media TV, broadcasting on Creoline Canal 199, and of course on all social media handles. Stay with us until we come your way on Friday. Please have a pleasant week ahead.